Get more than you expect with the $5 meal deal, part of new McValue. 5 gets you a McDouble or McChicken and a small fry and a small drink and a 4-piece McNuggets. Woo! New McValue at McDonald's. Prices of participation may vary. McDouble meal $6 in some markets for limited time only.
So, you just started using LinkedIn Premium. Now what? Well, on your premium company page, you noticed around 7.5 times more page engagement and 5 times more page views. Well done. And now, new clients are messaging you. All because you're using LinkedIn Premium, which helps you get the business growth you want. Think big, small business. Think big. Start your free trial at linkedin.com/premium small business. That's linkedin.com/premium small business.
I used to dread shopping for car insurance. Endless forms, terrible hold music, and somehow my rate always went up. Then I found Jerry. Jerry handles the entire insurance shopping process, from comparing quotes side by side to purchasing your policy, and even helping you cancel your old coverage, all in one app. In just minutes, Jerry checked for quotes from more than 50 top insurers. It's fast, easy, and totally free to try. Before you renew your policy, download the Jerry app or head to jerry.ai/SXM.
We go through a pandemic and we do all this stuff to help each other and to help people and to make sure that we're being safe and that people aren't dying. All the best minds put together designing vaccines. The whole world kind of came around and said, like, what the hell can we do to fix this? And now people are dying at a way more rapid rate due to fentanyl overdose daily in Saskatoon. And it's not just Saskatoon.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Bunny Hugs and Mental Health on the Believe Network. This is a free, safe space for people to share and learn from others' experiences with mental health and addictions. I'm Todd Rennebaum, a suicide attempt survivor and a recovering substance abuser. Thank you for joining me for another episode. This week I'm speaking with Brad Siroski. He's a really good dude. Right now he is a professional speaker, counselor, and author, but at one time he was a pretty hard drug addict, alcoholic, and he just came out with a new book called The Long Road of Recovery, One Man's Journey Through the World of Mental Health and Addictions. And so we're going to talk about his journey. I know the word journey gets used too much, but I don't know what else to call it. Hey everybody, I noticed there's been a bit of a lull in reviews and ratings. If you've been listening for a while and you haven't done that yet, it would be so incredibly appreciated if you could do that, especially if you are listening on Apple Podcast, because that's the only one I know how to do it for. I'm sure the other platforms you're able to do it. And this isn't for my own ego. This is because my guests are incredible. They say incredible things, and people sometimes really need to hear those things. So why not rate and review? That way the algorithm finds the podcast easier, and then people who are looking for some kind of support or message can then find the podcast easier, and everyone wins. And it's a lovely thing. People are getting helped because all you did was hit 5 stars and, hey, this is a pretty cool podcast. Done. You can even do it while listening. So just keep listening and do that. So without further ado, I give you my good friend, Brad Siroski.
I was going to write a tell-all, but, you know, there's a lot of healing going on in my life with a lot of people, and I think if I wrote a tell-all, that might make some of that stop.
Right.
So it starts. The introduction is just it talks about kind of the last couple months of my addictions. I was having a lot of seizures due to the alcohol and substances and stuff. So it tells, the opening part talks about a seizure I was having and from the perspective as it happened, and I had bit partway through my tongue and found myself in my apartment kind of going, what am I going to do now? And the answer actually was drink more for a little bit. And then I asked myself kind of, how did I get here? So then I kind of do just a brief overview of my life. And then I talk about how I cleaned myself up and use 10 things that I've used in my life ever since to kind of keep myself as mentally well as I get.
Right. So those 10 tips, like, it's not like you don't like have a course and like follow these 10 tips and in 30 days you'll be clean.
No, definitely not. It's very much, but they are kind of everybody can kind of put them into their life. There are things like holistic self-care and healthy connections. Like one of the chapters is called, "If you surround yourself with assholes, you'll smell like shit." And it's
like the America World Police.
Oh yeah, the
pussies and assholes speech.
yeah. No, it is a lot like that actually. And it talks about self-care and healthy connections and goals, and how I had to start setting some goals and not shooting for the moon in early recovery or with your mental health, kind of setting attainable goals and being accountable, like owning your shit. I'm a counselor, so everybody blames. When they sit across from me, it's my wife's fault or my husband's fault or my sons or daughters or my mom's or dad's fault. And my dad wasn't the nicest person to me all the time, but he didn't put a bottle of vodka and a pile of cocaine in front of my face. I did that, right? So once I started taking ownership of that, and there's just a bunch, never give up, like revealing and healing. I talk about trauma and kind of, it's not a trauma book, but it kind of gives you a couple ideas on how to start working through your trauma. It's not something you're going to read and go, holy shit, I just figured out how to cure my problems with my trauma. But it gives you an idea on how to connect with people, and, that you do need to connect with somebody that's trauma informed if you are going through trauma. Your mom and dad and brothers and sisters can be supports, but they can't properly speak the language of somebody who's trauma informed to help you get through it, really. So just tips and techniques that can kind of be applied to everybody. And in typical fashion, I share some funny anecdotes and stories of my own, some failures, some successes, stuff like that through the chapters. And it's very much a no bullshit kind of guide to me, how I achieved better mental health.
Some people, I think, don't even know that they're suffering with traumas,
Yeah, a lot of people. Like when I speak to people, they come up after, they said, like, we didn't even realize how many traumatic events we've been through till you started talking about what traumatic events are. Right. And I mean, so like some of the smaller, like trauma, I think trauma should kind of be triaged just like everything else, right? Like there's traumatic events like embarrassment and stuff like that, some like, I don't want to get into the whole idea that bullying is not traumatic, because it certainly is, but there's some minor bullying that, it's traumatic, but it's kind of a little less than maybe if you were almost in a near fatal car accident kind of thing, right? Like, and when you start talking to people about trauma, they're like, I didn't realize divorce was traumatic. I didn't realize. And I'm like, all this stuff that's trauma.
Yeah. I was maybe 4 years sober before I started to realize some of the events in my life were traumatic, and I just thought it was just shitty stuff that happened. It's like, wait a minute. Then I start diving deeper and like opening up shit. Oh, fuck. Okay, this has probably been bothering me since I was 12 years old.
For the first 7 years of my speaking career before I went to school, I used to say I had a perfectly normal childhood and normal life. And I lived through near fatal car accidents and overdoses and heart attacks, cancer, all that stuff is trauma. And it's not really it's not really stuff that people live through, like everybody lives through day to day. But when it's stigmatized, like the idea behind it is it's just part of life. You just deal with it, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, so I don't know, some of my listeners might be sick of hearing me say this, but in the last couple of years, I've been deep diving a little bit with some sexual trauma that happened to me as a kid that I didn't even realize was trauma. Like it was child on child, so you never hear about it, this kind of stuff. And I think I was at a AA meeting actually, and there was a speaker and they were talking about child on child. It felt like someone punched me in the stomach. It was like, oh yeah, this is something I haven't thought about in a long time. It's like, yeah, it's a mind fuck.
Absolutely. And you hear people all the time. It's kind of ironic. I'm wearing a Sum 41 t-shirt, and I just listened to the singer of Sum 41. He just did an audiobook about his whole life. And he talks about how he was groomed and kind of sexually assaulted by a guy, and he just thought it was a relationship.
Right.
Like, he didn't realize what was going on. The guy was he was a higher up in the record industry and was manipulating this guy for sex and telling him he could benefit his career. And when he started talking to people about it, they're like, that's like sexual abuse. Like, lots of times people don't even realize what they're going through well, for me, it was when I went to school. Like, when I started taking the mental health stuff and we had to write papers and stuff, I was like, holy crap. Like, this is trauma. This is trauma. This is trauma. This is abuse. This is like, yeah, like, it was crazy.
Well, and that singer, like, he almost died of alcoholism.
Yeah. And all that stuff. And he just jammed it all down inside because, like, the stigmas and the idea that he didn't even really understand it. And I think, going back to what you originally said, lots of people don't understand trauma. They don't understand abuse. They don't understand their mental health. Like, when I talk to people all the time, I say the first thing that you have to do is realize what your mental health struggles are. Is it something that can be diagnosed? Is it bipolar or ADHD? And I think both of us have that. And, or is it, the stress, like overstress? Because there's normal stress, and then there's like stress where you need to be medicated stress, or, is it depression, and on what level? And you need to kind of recognize that, because a lot of people, they just think, oh, well, it's just everybody goes through this.
Yeah, well, yeah. Going through treatment for me was so incredible because there is no one-on-one counseling. It's all group, where I went in Pine Lodge back when it was in Indian Head.
I was there twice.
Yeah. and yeah, you just like hear everybody's stories and stuff, and it's like, wait a minute, I relate. Even though, I could be sitting beside a guy with tattoos on his face who's coming from jail and it's a gangbanger and all this, but yet I relate to some of his traumas and stories. And yeah, it's just, talk about making connections. Like, treatment was amazing for that. I remember hugging and crying with guys like that.
Yeah, I went through a year-long treatment program, the final one I went through, with 24 guys. And talking to those guys was the first time that I felt like I wasn't going through this stuff alone. Like, it was, I had talked to people in Pine Lodge and places like that, but at that point in my journey, I was just going to those treatment programs to appease other people.
Right.
So I wasn't putting my best foot forward. I wasn't having the serious conversations. I was kind of rolling in, getting myself healthy for 28 days and rolling out to start all over again. But when I went to that final program and I started talking to these guys, and like you said, there's heroin addicts that are saying, like, man, you think I'm messed up. The heroin addict's telling me, like, you're in way worse shape than I am, and it's like, oh yeah, but you start to connect with those people. And for me, that was like, we had to do what they call it, doing your testimony. So we had to stand up in front of these 24 guys and share our story. And when I shared, I unpacked years worth of stuff and like cried, and those guys cried. And then they came around after and said, like, we've all been through similar stuff, not the exact same, but very similar. So we're here for you. And to me, that's where a lot of my healing began. I always say revealing is healing, and that's where a lot of it began.
Secrets keep us sick was another. Yeah. I don't know if that's AA or where that's from, but
I don't know either, but I've heard it before, and it's absolutely true.
Yeah. Wasn't there something about you on your graduation day, you didn't admit something the whole time you were there, and then you did that day or something?
Oh, well, I don't know about the graduation day, but I know that the guy that did the program said that I was the roughest student he ever had, because I fought so hard against the idea of the spirituality piece. Because when you go into the program, and then at the end, I kind of said to him, like, really at about the 6-month mark, I started to grasp this. It was just fun, kind of rattling your chains for the last 6 months that I was here, kind of thing. But I pushed him. I think it's still to this day, like when I go back and speak at the program, he tells the clients that are in there that I was one of the toughest guys, like, to deal with, because everything that he said, I'm like, that's bullshit. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Come on, get real. That could have never happened. I questioned everything. But that's just, I'm still like that.
It's the ADHD.
Yeah, it's
no,
like,
I don't.
I think I'm just a bit of an asshole sometimes.
Are you on ADHD meds?
No.
Raw dogging it.
Yeah, yeah, very much. And some days I'm doing it excellent, and some days I am stinking up the joint. But I tried. I can't remember. It was like when I first got diagnosed, it was the year that I came out of the recovery program, and they put me on a medication, and my daughter was 4 at the time, and she told me that she said, "Dad, you changed. You're no fun anymore, or you're boring," or something along those lines. What happened? Like, why don't you want to have fun anymore? And it just, what, I can't remember what I was taking. If I went, I'm sure my doctor could tell me if I asked, but it made me, I didn't cry. I didn't laugh. I just flat affect straight across the board. And I didn't like myself. I went off and I've been kind of white knuckling it. I white knuckled it for 37 years. Right. But so I've been kind of doing the same thing ever since, but in my book, and in my life, I've figured out a lot of things that work for me. Sleep's been huge. I take medication, a medication to help me sleep, because my doctor thinks I have a generalized anxiety disorder on top of everything else as well. So I couldn't sleep. I was sleeping 2 hours a night. And then my ADHD, like, holy shit, I'd lose my keys, my wallet. My dad always used to joke around, you'd lose your balls if they weren't in a bag. and that's how I was my whole life. And it just got worse without sleep. And now that I sleep and exercise and I eat relatively well, and it's still a little bit, some days are better than the others. Right. So
I'm on meds now for a couple of years for my ADHD. And the other weekend I got up really early with the dogs. So I took my normal meds and I was like, well, I don't want to take my ADHD one because I'll stay awake. I was like, I want to go back to bed for a bit. And then I forgot to take it afterwards. And I, like, by the evening, I was like miserable. We're watching one of my favorite comedy shows and I'm like not cracking a smile. I'm miserable. And then it was the next day when I picked up my pill thing, I noticed I was like, oh, I fucking forgot to take it. But that kind of freaked me out in a way too. It was like, okay, well, would I be miserable? Was it just because I was having withdrawal for one day, or was it, and like, if so, like, that's a pretty big effect. So I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. It's the same way with my nighttime pill, right? Like, if I don't take it, like, I need it now. My body's become dependent on it. And it's,
same.
As somebody in recovery, I've always struggled with the idea of medication and it's silly because I tell people, if you need to medicate, right?
The same way, man.
But it's like, well, that works for you, right? Like, I'm not, and we always joke, being counselors too, and I'm in the mental health field now. We're really good at helping people, but we're not really good at looking at ourselves. Like, all the stuff, and my wife and my kids and my friends and everybody point this out to me all the time. They're like, all the stuff you tell your clients to do, you suck shit at it. You don't do it. Like, you're not doing it at all. And I'm like, I know. So then I got to get back into routines and.
Right. But that's why I know I suck at it so bad. That's why I tell them to do it.
Yeah. I know I'm my perfect test subject. Like,
yeah. I'm the same way when I do talks and stuff. I feel like such a hypocrite telling them that. Like,
yeah.
I'm on, what do I take at night? Quetiapine.
That's like, me too.
Yeah, it's like 25 or 50 milligrams. It's really tiny, but yeah, man, if I don't have that, forget it. I'm up all night.
That's me, quetiapine, and I'm not a pharma guy and try and sell it to anybody, but it works so good for me. Like, I went from sleeping 2 hours a night and being like, it got so bad for me about two to 3 years ago that I went into such a bad funk that I stood in my bathroom and stared at a bottle of pills for about 2 hours. I just stood there. Like, have you ever seen Paranormal Activity where the lady stands and looks over the bed and the clock moves ahead like 3 hours and she's still standing there? That was me looking at that pill bottle. And I was like, I just want to take these, and just because I can't take this anymore. And right around the same time, I started to have physical health problems for it. I actually lost vision in my right eye, which my eye doctor actually said, like, you can have ocular problems from having too much stress and lack of sleep and mental health stuff, which I had no idea. So I went back to my doctor and he said, I want to put you on these 2 pills. And I said, I'm not taking that one because I took it before and it makes me suicidal. And it was Effexor.
That's the other one I'm on.
Yeah. And it works great for a lot of people. But for me, it was like when I started taking it the first time, it was really honestly the first time in my life I started to think about harming myself. And it came directly in conjunction with the pills. And as soon as I went off it, the thoughts went away. So it just didn't work with me. Lots of drugs just don't work with certain people, right? So I said no to the Effexor and I said yes to the quetiapine. The sleep for me has been game changing, as well as I do a lot of stuff. I start my day with affirmations. I have lists, I'm sure, as a lot of ADHD people do. Like I plug them into time slots. I have I wish I was at my upstairs desk right now because I have the same notes, but every morning now I start out and I put them into my CRM, so they send me reminders. Basically, it's like alarms every hour, like do this. Did you get this done? Meeting with Todd tonight at 8. Stuff like that. So yeah, I found a spot where it's manageable most days. There's some frustrating days, but I find it's like a 90-10. 90% of the time I can handle it and 10% of the time I can't. So it hasn't got to the point where I think I need to medicate. And when I do, the people around me will let me know. and I'll fight it like I always do and tell my clients not to.
Right.
But I'm not at that point yet.
I've done so much other healing, I guess. Yeah, probably healing and just being self-aware that even when I'm in the funk and I'm feeling like shit, I'm still like way better than I used to be. So it's harm reduction.
and I find with myself, my funks are getting fewer and further between, and I can kind of pull myself out of the muck and mire a little bit quicker now than I used to be able to. Like I'm starting to build up a fairly good list of things that work. So now it's like I give myself some time because, sometimes you just need to feel, right? So I give myself some time to feel, and then I start asking the questions like, is this a legitimate feeling? Not so much legitimate, but is it true to what's actually really happening in your life? Or is it just something you've talked yourself into? Because I can go to pretty dark places pretty quickly. And I've just found a handful of things that work. So I find that I go up now and I come down and I don't stay down as long and I start to rise again. And sometimes the highs get pretty good and sometimes they level off and but I've found enough tools now to kind of help myself get out the other side of it.
Yeah, there's a fine line between that letting yourself feel like shit and then, okay, now am I just spinning my tires? Like I let myself feel like shit. Now am I putting myself in a rut? Where is that line? And it is very a foggy line. And because I do the same thing. It's like, okay, I'm feeling like shit. Fine. I'm going to let myself feel like shit. But then after a couple of days, okay. It's time to change something. Time to do something.
Yeah. It's like, to me, the idea of the introduction of the word rumination into my life, like, and that fits back into the idea of you're a product of what you surround yourself with, right? So if you surround yourself with assholes, you'll smell like shit, like I said before. But if you
my asshole. It smells
like roses, potpourri.
It smells like lip balm. What? No, never mind.
Yeah.
No, sorry. I'm
not going to go there.
Anyway,
I feel like this could go south pretty quick.
I have to warn you, when I do interviews in the evening, it's because my meds have wore off, and so I'm a little more myself.
I get it, and I appreciate it.
So anyway, you were making a point, and I ruined it. Rumination.
Yeah, if you stay in that, like if you stay in stress. Like I see this I talk to a lot of high school kids and they allow one thing to build into another thing, to another thing, to another thing. And then they're just ruminating. Like, they have a huge exam coming up and then their mother tells them to do the dishes and they're like, Mom, I can't believe. And then that causes them more stress. And then they're like stressed about the dishes. And then something doesn't work on their phone and they're stressed about this exam. And they just constantly keep living in this world of stress. And it's like, okay, stop. Just stop. Like, that's what I tell myself when I'm going through some of the bad mental health stuff. Okay, stop. Like, what's in your control right now? Is this as bad as you're making it out to be? And is there things you can do right now that can change it for the better? And I mean, that doesn't work for everyone. It's not a surefire way for people who are going through a tremendous amount of shit to get out the other side. But it works pretty good for me, like, and I have a handful of things that work. Like, I go outside, I get some exercise, good music, time with family, just a list. I have a laundry list of things, like, try these, get in the shower today. Like, cause when it gets bad, I just don't get out of bed. Like, depression to me isn't sad. It's just switched off. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to be around people. I don't want to be around my family who I love. I don't want to be around my dogs who I love. I'm not happy. I'm not sad. I don't even turn the TV on half the time. It's just, I just lay there and I feel nothing. Like, I really feel nothing. And so then I have to tell myself, okay, you can do this today. Sleep it off, sleep through it, go through it, feel the feels. And then tomorrow check in. And then the next day it's like, okay, Today you're going to get up. You're at least going to have a shower. You're going to eat something today. You're going to take 10 steps outside, even if it's just down to the end of the block and back or across to the mailbox. You're going to do that and kind of try and keep building.
It's like the opposite of ruminating. You ruminate positive stuff slowly.
I'm unruminating.
Get ready for July 4th with early savings at Lowe's. Right now, get up to 40% off select major appliances and get an additional 10% off 2 or more select major appliances. Plus, get 3 Stay Green or premium 2 cubic foot mulch bags for just $10. These deals are coming in hot. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 6/25. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Airwick Essential Mist Diffuser transforms your space, creating your perfect ambiance with a wide range of inviting fragrances that make your guests go, oh. Airwick Essential Mist Diffuser's easy-to-change refills allow you to choose your perfect fragrance for any occasion, like lush honeysuckle and raspberry, and vibrant island coconut and warm sands. And if guests start shifting from the table to the couches, no worries. It's perfectly portable and cordless. Airwick Essential Mist Diffuser, always inviting.
That I feel all that, especially with my kids right now. Man, because we just moved, so like their hometown. We moved from Indian Head to Regina. They lost their grandmother this summer.
Oh, wow.
My mother-in-law, my younger one just started university, and so there's all that plus just the day-to-day stuff.
Right.
And my son will come home and he's like just freaking out. And he's my son. Whoa. Okay, you have a bunch of assignments to do. And then I sit him down and we like write it out on a calendar. And it's like, okay, this is doable. You do this and this and this, this night. And we prioritize. And then it like completely de-escalates them and it helps me because I'm like, because seeing your kid stress out stresses me out. Oh my God, I just want to take this away from this feeling away from them because I've lived all my life with that feeling. So I don't know where I'm going with this. Again,
I mean,
my meds wore off.
That's every parent, right? You want to fix and because we've lived through it and we talked about this earlier, I'm really great at helping my daughter. But when everything piles up on me, I'm not really great at following my own advice. I know that lots of times it's just simply putting the tasks on the calendar and what's coming first and what do you need to get ready for first and prioritize shit today. And with the ADHD, it's like, but I don't like doing that. So I'm going to do 20 other things first because I don't want to do that. And when I get to doing that, I'm going to be so easily distracted that I'm never actually going to accomplish it anyways.
Yeah. And then you do it. It's like, oh, that took 5 minutes. Why didn't I do that 2 weeks ago?
That wasn't as bad as I thought.
Actually, my older son, he's struggling a bit right now too. And man, yesterday, 2 days ago, we just took his room apart because it looked like a homeless person was living. Like it looked like a homeless camp. I'm just like, dude, this is not you. Hang around in garbage, you're gonna feel like garbage.
Yeah.
So anyway, we cleaned up his room, but still, he'll sleep till 5, and I don't know, the poor kid. Yeah, he's 20. He'll be 21 this fall, and I remember being that age of like no idea what to do with my life. I want to find a girlfriend, but I'm lonely, so I'll just smoke pot and play video games.
Yeah. I knew that I should be going to work every day, but I had a job where I worked piecework, so I would go for 2 days and make enough money to drink for 4 days, and then be all upset because I didn't have enough money to pay bills, and then not go to work, and then they'd phone and say there's a contract, and it was just the same shit. Like, I think there's that stretch in your life where it's just like, you really got to try and just figure it out.
Yeah. Actually, we want to get him assessed with something. Could be ADHD or even autism, or I don't know.
Yeah, it could be a pile of things. And
I'm just, this is hardly an interview now. Now I'm just using you as a counselor.
That's great. That's great. Just keep rolling with it. I mean, if I do a real good job counseling you on the podcast, I can't see it doing anything but helping my counseling business.
Yeah, that's right.
So, but I mean, with your son, the unfortunate thing with your son and the assessment thing is, not to get all political, is that it takes forever to kind of get into to see anybody now.
I know.
Unless you go off of a family doctor, and that's, to me, that's really touch and go with how good of a doctor you have, because some of the biggest drug dealers I've seen in the world are doctors. like here you go, like here's 4 scripts, and I've only talked to you for 15 minutes. Like, yeah. I want to ask doctors all the time, have you asked, like, are you sleeping? Are you eating? Are you exercising? When's the last time you went outside? Stuff like that, because before you just go, have you took your phone out from in front of your face for more than 4 hours a day or 2 hours a day for the last 10 days? Because if you haven't done any of those things, start with that and then come back and tell me, and we'll talk about meds then. You know, I just find that it's so quick to write a script now, and it's kind of scary without getting the proper assessment. Like, if you can see a psychiatrist, and even psychiatrists are seeing up to 60 patients in a 6-hour day. So
my psychiatrist wouldn't even assess me for ADHD. He's like, nope, I don't have time. I have like 1,200 clients. Nope.
Yeah.
I'm right. Like, okay. Yeah. So it took me about 1.5 years to get assessed between the waiting list and all this stuff, because I got it free through LDAS, Learning Disability Association of Saskatchewan. Yep. But it was worth it because it was an actual, like, full big assessment. I said, if I'm going to get assessed, I don't want a family doctor going, yeah, you probably do. You know, I want to make sure. So yeah. Anyway, I'm really dysregulated right now. Sorry. Anyway.
And it's not like it's psychiatry. They're the psychiatrist's fault. There's just not enough of them. Like, when, like you just said, like, what did you say? How many clients does your guy have? Like,
I think he said 1,200 clients.
Yeah, 1,200. Like, come on, we're setting the poor people up for failure with 1,200 clients. Like, the one when I took one of my clients for an ADHD assessment, the guy said, I'll see 66 people. It was 1 p.m. He said, I'll see 66 people by 7 p.m. tonight. And I can't do the math right now, but that's like 1 every 5 minutes, probably, or less. So
no, I want to do the math now, but that would make for a boring episode.
So now, because we both have ADHD, we're going to be trying to do the math in our heads while we're talking.
No, I've already forgotten what we talked about. You're in Saskatoon, right?
Yeah.
Well, and I didn't mention this, but we met each other in Melfort doing I wasn't speaking that year. I was just doing it for the podcast, and you're speaking. And yeah, I know we've been trying to get you on the podcast since then, which is like 1.5 years ago. But that's what happens when you have 2 dudes with ADHD trying to
schedule. Yeah, run their day planners.
Yeah, it was on one of these notes somewhere, I think.
Yeah, the Youth Matter conference.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah,
and yeah, that was. That still is a great conference. I seen they're still running it every year. So I think there was like 600 kids there or something that day. That's anytime. And they had every year they have like 4 or 5 phenomenal speakers and tons of different like cultural events and stuff like that. It's great.
Yeah. I was just sitting here thinking, well, actually you've been on the podcast before because you were in that episode.
Oh,
I recorded your talk. Yeah. I was like, Well, but listening to your story that day, I was like, that's when I was like, oh man, I got to get Brad on. Plus, we just hit it off, and we were smart asses and quirky.
Yeah. We're kind of cut from the same cloth, I think.
Yeah.
Well, a little bit of ADHD, a little bit of rehab, a lot of smart ass. It's kind of it's good.
Yeah. Are you? Is it a private practice you have, or is it?
Yeah. So right now.
Oh, okay.
Right now, I think I don't know if this is ADHD or an addiction to chaos or
Or just a dickhead.
Yeah, or just, yeah, exactly. But I mean, right now, so I run a small private practice. I usually balance about 12 clients. I'm on the road 1, sometimes 2 days a week speaking. And on Fridays, I run men's groups for dads who are trying to get their kids back from, or they've already got their kids back from Child Family Services, and now they're maintaining sobriety and rebuilding their life with their children. So there's a couple homes. There's a home for couples doing this, and a home for single dads in Saskatoon. So we take the dads from both homes and provide them with topics for men's groups. A lot of the topics are some of the ideas from my book. Some of the stuff we let the dads pick a lot of the topics because, hey, it's their group, right? So let's have them pick the topics they want. And then I do the research and design the programs for it. So, and then I still have a casual position at a 28-day, the Calder Center here in Saskatoon, working at a 28-day residential treatment program that I love. I love that position too. So, but that kind of, the speaking stuff slows down a bit in the summer. So and everybody goes on holidays from the residential treatment program in the summer. So it kind of works out good. I go in and help out and kind of, I like being still kind of in the know with when you stay kind of on that level, like ground level a little bit, you stay in the know with the new addiction stuff, with the new mental health stuff, all of that. So I don't want to be a guy that's going around speaking to people that doesn't kind of keep himself up to date on the new supports and ideas and treatments and stuff like that.
So that men's group thing, you say they come from a house, like they live together in kind of recovery and stuff? Or?
Yeah. So in the city here, there's Comfy, and it's a fantastic group that helps a lot of people. Like Comfy has all these different programs they run, and they have some housing that they're attached with. And one of them is the McLeod House, which is a sober living home in the city here. The other one is the Trotchy House. And that's the one for the single dads that are trying to get their kids back. And then there's a program that the Infinity House it's called. That's couples, like husbands and wives or boyfriends and girlfriends, partners, whatever, that are trying to get their children or have got their children back, and now they're trying to maintain sobriety and kind of, just like I did when I got out of the treatment program, reintegrate back into society in a healthy way with my child, right? So a lot of that stuff, when I came out of the Teen Challenge program that I went through for a year, my daughter was 4 at the time. A lot of the stuff those dads are going through, I can relate to coming out and trying to raise a kid, just not maybe on the same level, because I didn't have full-time custody like they do. At that point, I was only seeing my daughter 3 weekends out of the month. But a lot of the stuff that they're going through, the idea of, raising a child and being sober and having to kind of get their finances in order and figuring out what employment is going to look like and all that stuff. We talk about all that stuff in the groups. And it's kind of, like I said, the men kind of let us know what they need, and we design it around their needs. And if we're not doing a good job, they tell us.
You're doing good work.
Well, thank you. I love it. It's when it's a passion. There's so many people, great people in the city. Pine Lodge was actually a really beneficial program for me, even though I wasn't in a good spot. Like, well, kind of hadn't really turned the page. I was still sitting. I was leaning on the fence in the wrong direction, right?
That's my pine tattoo in honor of Pine Lodge.
If I got a tattoo for every treatment program I went through, my arms would look like this. This could be the tattoos. Because I think in 2011 I went to 3 or 4 different treatment programs, and finally in 2012 landed in Teen Challenge, which was the last one, but I went through Calder and Pine Lodge twice, and I went through 2 or 3 different day programs in the city. I went to Maxi, which was here in the city at that point. I was sick. I'd go get out, start over again, drink, use drugs, get sick, end up in detox. From detox, they'd usually help me get into a treatment program because they knew that I was on death's doorstep. So it was a vicious kind of cycle for like 2 straight years of detox, rehab, back to work, relapse, and then do it all over again.
And it sounds like fewer and fewer people are kind of going through that process now because of fentanyl. They're just dying.
Yeah.
Like they don't get 5-6 chances. They get maybe 1. And Saskatoon right now, it's absolute epidemic overdoses. I mean, it's only April, and I mean, the overdose numbers have tripled from last year's.
Yeah. And just to put that in perspective, I think, so they've tripled from last year. So whatever year the last year of COVID was, I think in about March, I had looked at the COVID-related deaths compared to the deaths in Saskatoon or Saskatchewan related to drug overdose. And they were pretty much neck and neck, I think, at the time. And that was 3-4 years ago. And fentanyl has exploded on the streets of Saskatoon. So we go through a pandemic and we do all this stuff to help each other and to help people and to make sure that we're being safe and that people aren't dying.
Billions of dollars spent.
Yeah, billions. All the best minds put together designing vaccines and all these ideas and thoughts and caring and love for one another. And we don't want to see, let's rally together. And for the most part, the whole world kind of came around and thought and said, like, what the hell can we do to fix this? And now people are dying at a way more rapid rate due to fentanyl overdose daily in Saskatoon. And it's not just Saskatoon. It's all over North America. And if it's not all over the world yet, it will be soon. Because fentanyl is easy to ship. It's easy to move around. It's tiny crystals. It's like people are smuggling it in packages and it's getting through borders all the time. And then people are dying. So why are we not coming together as a society, as a country, as a province, as a city, whatever, and helping these people? Because I'm sick of watching people die. Like I worked before I started public speaking, my first 5 years of work after I got out of school was an outreach addictions counselor. And in those first 5 years, I lost somewhere between 9 and 13 clients to overdoses. And that was before fentanyl was as big as it was right now. It is right now. I'm sick of watching people die. And I'm sick of everybody sitting by and then people hating on harm reduction. And I wouldn't be sitting here. You wouldn't be sitting here without harm reduction. I seen on a friend of mine's Facebook page the other day, she was talking about how, have you ever had a kid? Have you ever, as a parent, especially in small towns, you see this all the time, where you have kids come over to your house, you pick up their alcohol for them and you check in on them every so often and you make sure that everybody's okay and you take their keys away and you don't let them drive home. That's a supervised consumption site and harm reduction. But because it's alcohol and alcohol is socially acceptable, people can't wrap their freaking minds around the fact that then they say dumb shit like, well, they don't deserve to live anyways. They've made their choice. So I shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be here. I made a lot of dumb choices in my life, It's just, I'm just tired of watching people die and back to the pandemic and everything else. We all rallied together then. And I would probably be pretty sure I could say accurately that more people are dying a year to drug overdoses now than people did in the pandemic. So why are we not rallying around them?
I think it's still goddamn stigma.
Yeah.
And ideology and just, yeah. It's speaking of Gabor Mate, I was part of a live conference he did.
I seen
you couldn't
that.
see me. You couldn't see me or hear me. I mean, I may as well have been recorded, right? It was like, I don't know how many thousand people are there or something, but he made the point of like they said, oh, it's their decision. Well, how many people do we care about that have lung cancer from smoking all their goddamn life? Everyone's all, oh, poor Johnny and all this stuff. I know guys that have like broken arms and legs and limbs because they like skiing. Well, they made the decision to ski, and it's like, oh, poor Frankie for breaking his arm. It's all just bullshit.
It's as somebody who's lived through cancer and lived through addiction, it's crazy to me.
Ski accident?
Yeah, I've had skiing accidents. Definitely. But there may have been substances involved with my skiing accident. So that might be
powder was great that day.
Yeah. There was a lot of white powder and some alcohol.
Sorry.
And, that's good. If you can't laugh about it, laughing is healing, right? But I lived through cancer and I lived through addictions. And when I went in and said I was having a heart attack at 31 years of age from cocaine and alcohol, they were great to me at the hospital until they found out I was an addict. And then they, told me that I brought it upon myself. But when I went in for cancer, nobody asked me any questions about what I'd eaten, like what my lifestyle was like. Nobody said to me, you brought it upon yourself. It just blows my mind. It's when I talk to people, when I say I'm 12 years sober, it very seldom gets claps. Very seldom. Sometimes crowds, especially if I'm speaking to people who are in recovery or working in the recovery field, then big claps. And actually, interesting story about that. I just did an event not too long ago for a bunch of first responders, addictions counselors, doctors, and said I was 12 years sober and nobody clapped. And then I said I was 10 years cancer free, and everybody. And I said, see, like why not the celebration of both? Why? To me, my recovery from substances is way a far huger triumph for me than cancer. I had a fairly reasonable diagnosis where they were pretty optimistic about what was going to happen. The prognosis is good, is what I've been trying to say for the last 40 seconds. Prognosis was good. And so I didn't really worry about my cancer. I didn't believe my higher power brought me through 22 years of addictions to wipe me out with cancer either. To me, there was no big deal there. It wasn't that hard for me. They opened me up. They pulled a tumor out. They sewed me back up, and I went on with life. Addictions, the recovery process, the getting in, the how many treatment programs I went through, getting to the final point, and then sticking with it. That's the hardest freaking thing I've ever done in my life. It still is.
Yeah.
So let's. I'm not saying that cancer is any less serious than addictions. By no means. I'm just saying let's look at them equally.
The comedian Norm Macdonald actually died of cancer. He had a joke where he was talking about his uncle bravely fighting cancer. He's like, he was just watching TV all day. Well, and like, it's like nothing I can do. It's like I take my meds and I get my operations, and but no, again, I'm it's a joke, but I hear you. Like,
and we need to be able to laugh about stuff like that. Like, people take shit far too seriously now. Like, a joke is still a joke. Like,
the point is, I agree with you that. I've heard lots of ways to think about addiction. I've never thought of it that way, that you're a cancer survivor and in recovery, and one gets applause and one doesn't. Yeah. It is kind of fucked up.
It's totally fucked up. And especially because, like I said, the addictions part was far closer to killing me than the cancer ever was. So, and once again, same thing. I had far more help, far more support, far more resources when it came to the cancer too. And it was less lethal. It was less life-threatening to me, right? So I got to always make sure I add that on the end, because I've made comments on social media before and got absolutely lit up in the comments, which is kind of funny too, because then those ones gain a lot of traction and you get a bunch of views, and then people check your shit out. So sometimes it's okay to get ripped apart in the comments.
Yeah, it's true. It's like what is it? Fuck. Well, I'm fucked.
No such thing as bad publicity.
Thank you.
Yeah. Huh? We might have to become a dynamic duo.
Prognosis positive for a dynamic duo. What's the name of your book, and where can people find it?
The book is called The Long Road of Recovery, not The Long Road to Recovery. Everybody keeps announcing it as The Long Road to Recovery, and I called it The Long Road of Recovery because there's no end point for me for my recovery, I think. So it's just going to constantly keep evolving and growing. Yeah, I guess there is an end point. There is a morbid end point, I guess. No,
that's not for years, weeks.
Yeah. Hopefully not years. Hopefully not weeks. I mean, The Long Road to Recovery. You can find it on Amazon, any Amazon platform. So Amazon.ca, Amazon USA, whatever that's available on Amazon. I always just like to mention the idea of the public speaking part because it's become a kind of a crucial and important role in my life and other people's lives too. Lots of stuff with schools, corporations. So designing lots of different programs for companies to not just have a one and done type theory. Because I think a lot of the idea of public speakers is they come in, they do their one presentation and then they leave. And then, if they're memorable speakers, you remember the presentation. If they're not, it's gone. But even then, it kind of just starts to fizzle away, where now I'm starting to look at hopefully building the idea of bringing in some workshops following, as well as keynote presentations to companies and stuff like that. Because I think a lot of times once you share your story with people, they can relate to you. Then if you have a workshop and stuff that follows up with it, they're going to be a little bit more willing to share their own personal experiences because they know you've lived through some of it. They know you have your own mental health experience and stuff like that. So the public speaking is just a huge thing for me. I'm working hard on putting together speakers reels and doing stuff like that, and just kind of, as the money comes in, spending it as quick as I make it on hopefully what will be a lucrative career and help people. And the big thing is the message. And I think I was meant to, I should have died. I got more lives than a cat for sure. So it's an important for me to carry this message, and whatever platforms I land on, where I land, I will land, and the message will get to the people that it's supposed to get to, I believe.
Thank you so much, Brad. I look forward to having lunch or coffee with you sometime next time I'm in the city. I love that you're out there helping people and you're spreading the message and talking to kids and talking to anyone that will listen, really. Thank you to my friend Carey and my good friend Sonia Wiggins for all the help and work they do with the podcast. Thank you so much. If you'd like to deep dive or support the podcast, you can go to my website, www.bunnyhugspodcast.com, and on there in the menu I have things like merch, buy me a coffee. I'm not gonna lie, it's been touch and go this winter financially, so if you're so inclined to buy me a coffee, that'd be great. There's even an option there to do it monthly. You just click that, and every month, $5, $10, whatever dollars comes out. And all my links to my social media stuff. So I don't know if you can hear that, but my dog is sneezing in the background. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Please check out next week's. It's going to be another amazing episode. And in the meantime, please remember to make your beds and take your meds. Bye.
Get ready for July 4th with early savings at Lowe's. Right now, get up to 40% off select major appliances and get an additional 10% off 2 or more select major appliances. Plus, get 3 Stay Green or premium 2 cubic foot mulch bags for just $10. These deals are coming in hot. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 6/25. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Airwick Essential Mist Diffuser transforms your space, creating your perfect ambiance with a wide range of inviting fragrances that make your guests go, Airwick Essential Mist Diffuser's easy-to-change refills allow you to choose your perfect fragrance for any occasion, like lush honeysuckle and raspberry, and vibrant island coconut and warm sands. And if guests start shifting from the table to the couches, no worries. It's perfectly portable and cordless. Airwick Essential Mist Diffuser, always inviting.